Minutes,
I'll move
motion.
to approve the
Meeting for the last minutes or the minutes from the last meeting,
Meeting.
whichever way you like to look at
I'll still make the motion.
it. Motion by Pat,
Lena seconded it.
I'll second.
seconded by Lena. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I gotta stay consistent.
I think Joe needs
Joe
to
did
sign
this.
it.
Passed unanimously.
All right.
Okay, 81 Ps,
None.
none.
Deliberation.
Okay, we got, the definitive plan for Shenlea.
Shalea Crossing.
Easier words, so.
I don't know if Bob has something to
Bob?
say or if he's,
Well, just to keep you up to date as to what we've done, I submitted a new set of plans both to Larry and Bonnie to show that we had, and here's the cover letter, here's the cover sheet, and you can see on the cover sheet that the phasing plan has been removed from the package. The sheets were all renumbered, just, and without the phasing plan. And the only other change was, I created the gravel area for parking for people who might want to access the open space right at the corner of Barbara's Way and Steel Pond Road. Other than that, the plans were pretty much already been corrected and all the questions that anybody had. Oh, and I removed the 300 feet of proposed sewer line at the beginning of, from coming off of Field Pond. And so now all the lots are being proposed to be serviced by municipal, by
septic.
individual septics, yes. So, that was it. That's the only alterations that are made, basically just to comply with all the comments that were at the last meeting.
Larry, town engineers,
Yeah,
all set.
he's updated everything that you expected.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make a motion to approve the definitive subdivision plan. Just one quick question. Did you also include like a wooden guardrail? Or does it not need it because of, there's not sufficient fall off?
That's 3-to-1 slope, so it's really not, it's not that bad.
I'll second Pat's motion.
Moving second, we approve the definitive plan. Any further discussion?
Did you, at the time you signed the Mylars, 20 days hence from this, you would be looking at a conditional approval contract. However, it was my understanding, the expectation of the board was to have a full-time resident engineer as an on-site inspector during construction of the roadway and drainage. It would seem like if you wanted to do that, you might want to include that as a condition of your approval, as opposed to trying to put that in the conditional approval contract, which will potentially change over time and not necessarily correlate with the intention of having the inspector.
Okay.
So it was just a thought.
There's only one, and I had thought that you had worked that out with Vonnie. Here's our problem. We don't know the amount of time required for that, and it's not fair to us, for us, I don't think, to stipulate a full-time position when, I don't know how you word it properly, I guess is where my problem is. That's why I thought you guys had worked it out with Vonnie.
I haven't. Should be only there when they're doing drainage work.
I understand that, but how do you,
Because
How do you
Bob's
fra-
gonna
how-
Well-
inspect their own, Sue's gonna inspect their own.
there is no sewer.
Oh, there's no sewer.
That's why I don't know how you,
So, so I think.
it's for the compaction of the road, it's for the
No,
drainage.
even when the water's going in, the water's just worried about the water pipe. They don't care about anything else. They don't care about anything after the water pipe, so, no.
Right, so, my feeling is that, I mean, if someone was to be contracted as to be as an on-call engineer, then the contractor would realize that the trade-off for not having somebody there full-time is that if you call for an inspection on a Tuesday and the guy doesn't get there till Wednesday, well then, that's when your inspection is, and you're not gonna, you might have
You're not
to
gonna
work on
ver-
doing something else or whatever, but
Right, you're not
you need,
gonna bury
you need to be able to understand that
But-
there's a time lapse that you might have to call your inspector to have him there on time, so. We understand, we understand that the need for an inspector,
Okay, the time the inspector should be there is when they're doing drainage.
Yeah.
doing the water, subgrading,
Yeah.
putting the gravel down, and, asphalt.
Compaction.
Compaction, right, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
Part of that.
Compaction, you have to have a compact, you
Yeah.
have to have a,
Geotech.
testing,
Yeah. Get a geotech, yeah. Okay. So,
curbing, yes.
curbing. Yeah, I mean, so we, you know, like I say, that seems fair enough to, I mean, we just don't want some wording that says a full-time inspector have to be there.
I'll modify it. Again, I'll modify my motion, but I don't know how to modify it to properly. I guess you could say during the times of, what, but this is where it becomes slightly
Or-
complicated.
Or just during the construction as required by the board, or required by.
During construction, but I think if you're gonna put during construction, you need to put for those,
Full-time, part-time?
no, I don't wanna get involved with time.
It's kind of on
No,
call.
but do we have an
Well-
inspector?
It's on call.
It should be as, I would say it should be as required by the town engineer.
Right,
And
there you
then-
go.
Then Vonnie can make a decision.
Right, and at that point, she can,
That works?
if she wants to put a table and say, inspections are to be made
No, but
when this is going on, when this is going on, when this is going
When
on, that type of
when
thing.
they're grubbing and, doing subgrades, and cuts and fills, I
Yeah.
don't see a need for an inspector at that time.
Right,
Again, when they're installing,
any utilities, right.
any piping, any head walls,
Sure.
nobody pours head walls anymore anyway.
So it's not full-time, that's
Right.
the.
No, I don't think it's up
That's
to
what I
us
was
that, I think
It's
that's.
full-time as they're doing, when they're doing it,
Right,
but yes.
right. But
I
It's
it's
don't-
not a full-time job.
correct.
So,
Yeah,
how is
if
it
they're
gonna
putting
be?
pipe in for 8 hours, it's an 8-hour.
Again,
That's
it's-
it. If they're not putting
I'm
pipe in the
fine with
next day,
amending it as
and if
needed.
it's not, if it's raining out, you're not gonna do it, you're not gonna pay anybody to sit.
I mean,
Well, in
it-
that case, you can, with that wording, you can put it into the covenant, no,
Covenant.
Larry?
Into the conditional approval
Conditional
contract?
approval contract, yeah.
And as Pat just said,
And then
call
we
it
can, and then we
as
can just, we
needed.
can just.
As-
the board
as-
can just
as-
approve the
as
plan
needed
tonight.
through,
Needed.
as needed
Go through Vonnie, it should have Vonnie.
Yeah, it has to be
through the
Vonnie
direction
because-
of the town
because-
engineering
yeah,
department.
Yeah, direction of the town
So
engineer.
long as.
All right,
so
so I
long as
modified
the
it
town
to-
engineer understands that you're not expecting somebody, some full-time staff person there, whether they're
No.
doing
I
something
think
or
it's,
not.
I don't think we could stipulate that. I don't wanna, I don't feel comfortable starting
We
getting
could,
in.
I don't think the board wants to, is what.
Right.
No,
That-
I
that's
think
my
it becomes
point.
challenging.
We'll-
I
We'll
don't,
make sure the
Again,
town
we don't
engineer
want,
understands.
we don't want you to have to pay any more than,
It seems to me that, I mean, obviously, this is coming up now because obviously Mike used to do all these inspections. So it would appear to me that the town is gonna have to look into somebody to have on retainer to be, because you don't wanna be doing a different company every time you have a subdivision to come through. So I would think that the town would have to look into trying to have somebody that's gonna be on retainer, that's gonna proceed and do inspections in the
that may
manner
be
that
the
we're
case,
talking
but
about.
that's not
Right, it's
what's
not
in
your,
front of us right now, and
right,
again,
exactly, but, you know.
I don't know her job duties and responsibilities.
Yeah.
We're not the hiring board when it came to her position, so
Right.
it's, again, I'll amend the motion to include site inspection services as required through you wanna go through the engineering department or through the town engineer?
through the town engineer.
Through the town, okay, through the town engineer.
My second's still there.
Thanks, John.
Pat, can we ask that, I don't know, I was just talking to Larry about it today, also like, can we get some, I don't know if this is the place to talk about, to get a building permit for a model unit to be built before the binder is there though? We won't get the occupancy until the lot is released and the binder.
So essentially, you're looking to build a sales office.
Well, just start building a model unit while the road is going on, though, so.
So a sales office.
Basically, yeah.
Well, that would be something that would show up in the conditional approval contract.
I don't have a problem if you build a sales office, provided that you understand that it cannot be sold.
Be occupied or
That's
sold, right,
No,
till,
yes, yes.
Yeah, because typically.
To me, it's nothing different than a construction trailer, except you're investing a little more money into it. So I don't have, myself, and I don't have a problem with that.
Again, they're not supposed.
That's why I said a sales office.
Yeah, you're not supposed to have building permits until the lots have been released, but,
Right.
Well, but that's why I thought he should bring it up now.
I don't have a
because
problem with
the-
building a sales office, but that's just me.
The conditional approval contract typically says what Babe just said, but you could have an exception in there if the board was amenable to having a model home, one model home on a lot nearest,
Selfishly, to me, if you can build a model home that helps you sell and complete the road quicker, I'm fine. And I'll be selfish. I'm telling you, that's why I'm fine with that. But that's just me.
So,
How much of the road do you expect to have done to do that? You're gonna combustible material, you're gonna end up with a problem with the fire chief, no?
right.
No, I'm not gonna go and build it right in the middle of it, the first or second lot, which is, okay.
No,
I
but
don't think you can do the second lot. You
Fire
may,
chief-
you may
have to
be
be
able to
the-
get
it would
the
have
first
to be
lot
the
because you
first
have
lot.
access from the other road.
Within
but
500
the
feet
fire
of
chief
fish
is not
mill.
gonna allow combustible material unless you have a binder down.
Right.
No, he doesn't mind with the binder, no problem, with the fire.
You need
The
a
fire
fire
hydrants
hydrant, you
have
need
to
a
be-
hydrant in.
The fire hydrants have to be charged.
Okay, before
The fire chief won't let combustible materials without the fire hydrants being charged.
so I could probably start putting the foundation and all that, but not start framing until I have.
You need water, because I don't
Right,
think
right.
he's not gonna have any access to any other water without you putting it in.
Right,
I
okay.
don't see it, that is a problem.
That's being equitable to both sides, really.
Yeah, no.
Because if not, you're not protecting your investment.
No, I understand that, that's fine.
so that can go in the conditional
Any
approval
other
contract. You'll see that later.
What?
so he's not going to put any.
Well, is it okay to put it in the covenant that he can release one sales lot provided, but not to be built until there's
Have to be
water?
occupied or sold.
I'm abstaining, so.
Right.
Oh, that's right, too.
To be sold.
Yeah, not to
So
be.
that
Can't be
has-
sold,
Yeah.
and you
That
can't,
has to be in
and
the
it can't be
covenant, right?
occupied
Has to
until
be occupied or
the
sold.
hydrant is in.
You
Be in the
can build,
covenant, yeah.
occupancy until the binder is in there and then lots are released, though, you know?
But just, let's be clear on this point. Let's not get cute. And so you put the binder up to one, now you wanna build another sales, model up the street. It doesn't work that way. I'm, one and done.
But when the
No,
binder
I
is
just,
done-
I just,
Well, no, binder's not, you can do anything you want.
Right,
No, but when the binder is done, I'm gonna come and ask for a lot
Yes.
releases.
Right.
That's
Yes,
how
yes.
yeah.
I just don't wanna get cute and then say, oh, no, I moved it up
I
here
don't
now.
want to go too far without.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I played this game once or twice.
yeah, again,
So just to clarify, the
Yes.
motion to approve is with or without the condition of the full-time inspector? Is the
We're,
full-time
we're not
inspector-
using the word full-time,
Well, site inspection as
inspector.
required. Is
as
that-
required by the
As
town
required.
engineer.
So that's part of the.
Yes, I
motion.
amended my motion to cover that.
And the expectation of that is that this board doesn't feel that that's a full-time position, Larry.
Right,
When
exactly.
it gets back to Vaughn.
Right,
I
right.
think that's good, though, I like that clarity.
And then the conditional approval contract will
Address the
address the model
model
home
home.
situation.
Okay, thank you.
Right, thank you.
It's not a model home, it's a sales
The sales
office.
office.
Sales office, sales office or more.
To turn
Well, there's a
into model.
distinction.
They take the garage doors and they put sliders
There's
on
a,
them.
no, there's a distinction. No,
Like they
I'm
do,
sorry, but
every
there's a
single one of them.
distinction.
Every single one of them, they take the garage doors, they put sliders on them, and they put an office in
And
the
that's why
garage.
it's a
That's
distinction.
exactly what they are, yeah.
It's an
okay,
extinction.
there's a motion on the floor, any other discussion? If not, all those in favor?
I,
Four in favor, one abstention. Just Joe wasn't,
Abstention.
Yeah,
Joe wasn't with us.
can't vote.
yeah, it affected
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, good luck.
me on here officially, just to mark it.
Okay, so you file all that tomorrow morning. We'll get the stuff.
It is.
Do you want to skip to number 6?
Well, you wanna skip to number 6? Sure, why not?
We got all these
Mr. Hannaford.
Mylars to sign.
See you later.
Did we call ahead?
Mr. Hannaford.
No, you have to push the button.
All right.
All right,
Oh, this is Hannaford.
who's got all the signs to sign?
This is
It looks
yours,
like
right?
McDonald's, National Street,
No, this
and
is,
the
Yeah, the other
Sayaya,
one went through, I don't know.
which is right there.
Well, Cinco Bend's nothing, you only gotta sign one sheet for that one.
Wow. We gotta get automatic pens here.
6,
How many we got?
Speed riders.
Oh, my gosh.
the pickup slot at,
why do we continue this? Oh, this is one
This one,
that,
Because
we
the
asked the
handicap-
question
the
about,
carport.
yeah.
About the handicap?
Yeah, can anybody get out of the car to answer?
You don't have to have it.
I don't know if they had a letter from the sewer department or if somebody was missing. It wasn't much.
Can't both do it at the same time.
Problem with it anyway.
can you reach the button?
I
Oh,
just had,
sorry.
you know, if they could do it with the handicap thing, if they could do something other than that, I don't have a problem with it, no.
One needs to come back out here today to stay this
I mean, I would've thought technology wise, they would have
because in the drive,
If they, if they could drive there.
They don't.
you gotta have trails.
some people can't, though. I mean, some people, their only control is they're in
It
a
is
wheelchair, they drive the wheelchair in, they don't have any.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, members of the planning board, we were here 2 weeks ago. On that set of plans, we had a couple things that needed to be changed,
Sir.
and they have been on.
Can you just reintroduce yourself?
I am Jay Lord with Maple Rock, and I have with me Bill McKinney from Hannaford Brothers.
Thank you.
We had two things that needed to be changed in the plans before. One side, the stop sign here that needed to be moved off the sidewalk. And on the detail sheet, we had an addition error that was changed as well. Otherwise than that, the plans haven't changed from when we were here last time. I think the issue that we had last time is the use of the call box versus the detector strip that we were talking about. We have researched, or at least I've researched, both everything in ADA and federal guidelines, and everything that I can find is silent upon the use of a call box for this type of purpose. Talks about ATMs, talks about a lot of other things, but because it is silent, we would like to stay with our program, use the call box as it is. We're very conscious, as Hannaford is, of all of their customers. If we have any customer that has some difficulty using this, they can come to us and we can make special arrangements so they can pick it up in the driveway as needed. We're more than willing to do that.
Do you have a telephone number for them?
Once they come in to sign up, it would be given to them right there, yes. Because to get into the program, you have to come into the store and sign up. Yes, so all that would be taken care of.
And at that point, you could say that,
Any special needs could be handled at that point in time. Absolutely.
As long as somebody answers the phone, they'll be fine.
Well, yeah, there's always somebody that answers the phone at the store, so.
Okay, I did talk to the inspectors and it wasn't,
Yeah, yeah.
you're all set the way it was, so.
Okay.
What's the pleasure of the board?
Approve the amended site plan.
I'll second that, Bill.
Moved by John, seconded by Lena, so we, who's this,
Minutes.
approve the amended site plan. Any further discussion? Not, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Right?
Opposed? Unanimous of 5.
All right.
Would you bring Mylar?
There's a set of Mylars and a complete set of plans.
Well, do you want to,
No, just let's, you got a bunch of stuff to sign, so
right,
Finish up.
let's, yeah.
well, that's what everything else is
I know,
endorsement.
so you might as well just run through it all.
Okay, so,
All right,
Oh, it's two amended, we've only cover sheets for those, right? Just
think
Babe has to sign those.
The amended is just gonna be Babe.
Assume that's just a cover sheet.
Are we doing it now?
yeah, what's the one we,
Go back to 4.
We're gonna do
Except
4.
the 4.
McDonald's.
oh, they're all endorsing plans.
that's all endorsing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's nothing, there's,
know, but don't you
there's
wanna
the
go through
signing
them
and then, industrial development.
Was it approved?
And then sign them at the end.
McDonald's?
No, it's going
You
next
wanna sign
time.
it
That
as
is
you
the
go.
end.
It's discussion.
No, you have number 7.
Well, yeah,
McDonald's?
that's me,
McDonald's we approved.
same difference between the end.
Is that just Babe?
This one is.
Nice.
Just the front.
Go home now?
Almost.
No,
Be home
just
by,
the Babe for the time
NCAA.
being. No, I think he's gonna spread those out over there for
Red Sox are playing now.
Today is
2-0.
Yeah, it must be 7 o'clock.
5:20. 1-4.
What's that one, Larry?
Siaya?
Oh, that's Babe too.
You only need one signature.
Okay, why don't we,
What are we doing here?
you remember the motion to adjourn?
Oh, you want to, okay, you
You only
want to, I'll
need
make a
one for
motion
Babe,
to
huh?
adjourn.
No, we
Wait a
can't.
minute, you can't, you have to,
Sign?
you gotta
We gotta do number
acknowledge, you gotta do
seven.
4 and 5, because you have to at least acknowledge that you're signing them. That's why I said,
Industrial Development
that's what I
Commission
wanted you to do
proposal.
that
Oh,
before
okay,
you.
do we have a,
That's what we have to
do we
do.
have a motion to endorse,
Industrial,
McDonald's USA,
McDonald's?
motion.
Moved,
second.
seconded, all those in favor? Opposed? Unanimous of 5. And National Street? We have a motion,
Motion.
moved by Joe,
I'll second.
seconded by John, to sign the amended site plans there. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous of 5. That's it.
No, you have Larry's thing,
Yeah, we good.
but you can't adjourn until you get Larry's thing.
Yeah, let's get the signing out of the way and then we'll come back and do 7.
Okay.
How many of these you need to really initial?
Usually just the first, just the,
I think you're right.
Right here's
that's
one.
what we do, but I don't know what they did.
That one's got one, this one has one.
Isn't it all you
3
need is the
has 'em.
first page?
All you want.
The first is,
They had a bunch, yeah.
Not too fast for you, is it, Kevin?
They didn't do anything on the cover sheets.
oh, okay.
The first two ones. Same thing is going on with But,
Did you see Pat's signature on the, Sure, you want even?
Yeah.
so if you do the front sheet and
Yeah, you can go down to the utility plan. Well, unless you wanna do the landscape plan too, I suppose. The erosion control commission anyways, we didn't even review it, this soil and erosion control on 2 sheets.
This one's all set.
7 and 8, 7 and 8 are conservation sheets.
okay, those everybody needs. Thanks.
Okay.
Which one's that? Did Babe sign all the ones he needed to sign?
Well, except everybody's gotta sign some of those.
No, I understand that,
These.
but you can go to number 7, and then you can
Pick out-
adjourn and sign
Then
it.
we can
That's-
adjourn, yeah.
He just,
There's
he
a
just,
G&H left already anyways.
he just signed them.
Fellows realize you're on TV.
All right.
Wanna do 7?
You're gonna do 7,
Yeah,
Larry,
I don't wanna do it.
could need Larry for this one, so.
Number 7.
Number 7, Larry.
you're welcome.
Yeah, attached to your initial agenda was the letter, again, from the Industrial Development Commission. requesting that you entertain their proposal, and based on my recommendation, that we look at the zoning between downtown and the Hopedale Town line on Main Street. One of the concerns is that it's a strip of CB commercial zoning, even though the majority of the uses are residential. The
You got a mixed
other,
bag.
the other packet
Mixed bag down
that
there.
has the aerials, the aerial attached shows a sheet that has approximate existing land uses, and then the last sheet shows the strip zoning of the CB zone, just kind of running from downtown just past Green Street. So the conversation had been revolving around how to try and revitalize different portions of Main Street. It started with the downtown area, but it also included this whole area out past the hospital to the Hopedale Town line. So what we were hoping was that the planning board would endorse allowing the IDC to spend some time verifying the land uses and putting together a proposal to extend or at least apply in certain areas the new office residential zone that we'd created a few years ago and already applied. You can see it on that last zoning sheet as the orange area up in the vicinity of the post office, to be able to apply that to some of these parcels between downtown and the hospital, and possibly even including the hospital property. The idea being that there may be some adaptive reuses to some of the residential structures there, but it's more likely to happen if the adaptive reuse were an office, or if it's a multi-story home, it'd be offices on the first floor. What you find along that stretch of roadway already is several offices, attorneys' offices, and other professional offices that are in residential structures. And in those instances, obviously, the buildings are in much better shape than some of the other houses that are still apartments. So the idea was that there might be more of an incentive to reinvest and keep that section of Main Street looking as it has over the years. Obviously, you have some clearly commercial buildings and uses there, and I think we would probably try to look at keeping those in the CB zoning district, but even where the CB zone is appropriately applied otherwise to some uses that are commercial, the zoning district boundary doesn't necessarily match the property boundaries at all, because it was applied as a strip of a ribbon of zoning down the street as opposed to following any of the property lines. So when we got, the thinking was when we'd get to those kinds of properties, we would look at expanding to property lines at least, or to some other feature that would make sense where you would normally put zoning boundaries, as opposed to just taking a random dimension from the street and running down the entire roadway that way. So, so we were hoping that you would at least consent to have us try and take a look at it as a board, to bring some information to you, and that might speed up the process. If I was left to my devices to do it all on my own, it's gonna take a lot longer to get here than otherwise.
Well, when we came up with,
I think that's good.
you came up with and asked about that zoning, that DOR zoning, I thought it was a great idea, in the place that we placed the zoning.
The lots were larger too, where we initially
Yeah,
put it.
but where we put it, it was there was some nice houses, and
The lots were larger.
and there wasn't any commercial type thing. This is where there's mixed commercial and everything, and I don't wanna change it. I think it's done very well as it has over the last
40 years?
40 years. The people who are taking over the houses and putting offices in them, they're doing a nice job. If you drive up and down there, most of the houses are very nice. And the ones that aren't, been that way for 40 years.
Well, again, to that point, I don't know, changing the zoning district, if
Right.
that's gonna influence
Right.
any changes to those. I don't know.
Any other members got,
Well, I go by there, I see the homes that are there that are in very good shape. They keep their lawns neat, you know, and there are the businesses, Frank's is across the street and that sort of thing. So I don't know if I want to impede anything more on the people living there, so.
all the businesses that are there?
The businesses are already there, I agree. So it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, you know. I'm just kind of concerned more of the people that are already there. How much more, you know?
I mean, the boundary is wrong.
Yeah, there's no,
I don't know if we wanna clean up the boundary lines. The other thing, you know, I hear what Babe's saying. I'm not sure that this is, there are a few that fit into what we did in the OR, but I don't know that there's as many. There's a lot that are, you know, there's, you know, I'm thinking of one in particular that's a relatively big, strip, offices, dentists and stuff like that, that really wouldn't fit into what the OR was done or made for. The other thing, I mean, to a certain extent, is if you're gonna do this, I think you need to make a judgment as to what you wanna do with the hospital. You know, I was just looking at this, and you've got the 2 properties at Huntoon Slip, which I believe are the hospital-owned now anyways. So, I mean, if you're gonna do that, then you need to take that whole parcel and figure out what zoning you wanna put that into and make that whole hospital parcel part of that zoning, if you were gonna go up this far.
Well, I guess that's part of what the investigation would
Yeah.
show, is the actual land use, because what I've noticed on our, and this is just off of the GIS, this is from the state Mass GIS, so the land use map isn't as accurate, and you can spot all kinds of discrepancies
Yeah.
in it. But just, you know, generally, if you squint, that's kind of what the land uses are, but to be very exact, that's not accurate. So one of the things that an investigation would do is verify what the land uses are compared to what the zoning is, and see if it.
And I guess, you know, the fact that we're not committing to doing one or the other, I think the information is probably worthwhile to have. So I wouldn't be adverse to, you know, at least going forward to the extent of finding out what the uses are and going that way, whether it means leaving it at CB, changing it to OR, or just changing the zoning board, the zoning boundary line, and including the hospital in at the end of it, or whatever. We can make that decision later on when we know exactly what's going on. So I would say that, as far as I'm concerned, if they wanna start looking at it, then at least it gives us information to better make a decision.
I don't disagree with the information, Joe, but I don't want to give any misleadings that we're leaning any one direction. Information is always vital, and we should have it, and for that, I applaud them for the ability to want to do it. But again, certain times we've said, go ahead, next, and then that's seemingly is our admission of we're for
The
it.
next-
That's,
yeah,
and
the
that's
next
where-
step
I
is-
think that's where the hesitation may lie.
Well, and that may be, but based on what, you know, what we're thinking in our own heads, what we think is out there, when we get the actual information, maybe we find
Yeah.
out, geez, we didn't, you know, there isn't that many,
No,
it's only
information
one,
is
and maybe
fine.
we should do it, so.
Or maybe they'll decide that it wasn't as good of idea as I made it sound.
Right,
Never know.
so I guess, I don't know what you need from us, Larry, in terms of,
Well, we didn't want to go off on a tangent, so to speak,
Without-
with something that clearly is, it has to come through this board anyway, and typically, these kinds of things are actually sponsored by this board.
well, that was
But
my next
because
question.
But because of their interest in trying to look at the area, and knowing that we had already talked about where around the downtown, literally around the downtown area, we would, where else we would apply the OR zone, at least part of this area fit into that criteria anyway. But to extend all the way to the Hopedale town line, you needed to look at all the land uses and see if it made sense. So even aside from all of that, it didn't seem appropriate to have IDC going off on their own, doing a land use inventory and survey with the idea of making a zoning proposal without coming here first to get a sense of the propriety of the whole thing to begin with. So that's why I'm here.
So I think, from what I'm hearing, I guess the board would be, would be willing to take a look at whatever, the outcomes of that result are, that, based on that, we would make, whatever decision we felt was comfortable going forward. We understand why they would want to do this, and there's probably reasons to at least take a look at it, if nothing else.
And make a decision later on, once we get the info.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
amenable?
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll let them know.
I just wanna make sure that what Pat said,
Yeah.
you know, is introduced with that, you know, we're not gonna go beyond that. And I think that,
We don't know what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
Until we get the
Right.
Yeah,
information.
but there's
we don't know
no,
what
there's
we're
no
doing.
predisposition to
So,
jump
yeah,
right into it.
we're not saying
Okay.
that we're definitely for the proposal. We need the information in order to find out where we sit.
I understand that, yeah.
And some of them may be watching or can watch us again on YouTube.
Information is always useful and helpful.
It is.
And it would be foolish of us not to seek it. But with that said, that doesn't give us any misleadings that we're one direction or another. That's all we're saying.
Right, so there's no predisposition either way.
Correct.
All right, I can relay
Make a
that.
motion to adjourn.
We got sign,
We already
to
made
sign.
that
We
motion
made
to
those-
sign.
no, I know, just don't go away.
Second, did you
Moved
adjourn?
and second, to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.